The Constitution could take center stage when Republicans take over the House in the new year. Joining us in today's strategy session to talk about that and more, two CNN political contributors, Democratic strategist Hillary Rosen and Republican strategist Mary Madeline. Happy holidays, guys. Thanks for joining us in the Situation Room.
Hey, Susan.
To you, Susan.
Two things that are going to happen here. Obviously, House Republicans say, first, they want the Constitution to be read in its entirety on the floor. Second, they want any new bills that a lawmaker presents for him or her to back it up and say, you know what, the Constitution supports this legislation. Hillary, I want to start off with you. What do you think this will accomplish? Do you think it's a good idea?
No, I think it's silly, and I think it's a waste of energy. You know, the Constitution actually gives Congress very broad authority to enact laws that it deems appropriate, and we have the court system to decide when they're constitutional or not. And in fact, the court only strikes down like one bill a year from Congress. So we're not talking about a Congress out of control here. What this issue is sort of this wild thing that started with the Tea Party out of nowhere over health care, somehow suggesting that it was unconstitutional to provide people with health care. And so, you know, John Boehner has decided he's going to make himself look good to Tea Partiers by coming up with this silly rule. So I think it's silly.
Mary, obviously you want to weigh in on this.
Well, it's political physics. For every stupid action, there's a really pushback reaction. This is a smart reaction because it's a reaction to 2,000 plus legislative monsters that nobody knows what's into. It's a reaction to the speaker, the former speaker, soon-to-be former speaker, saying we have to pass this bill to find out what's inside it. So people don't like that, and didn't the Tea Party and its appreciation for the roadmap that led our country to the greatest country in the world, the Constitution, was regularly being ignored. And the reassertion of it and the reading of it, I think, is, while symbolic, is a good thing. And what is wrong with lawmakers saying what their constitutional authority is for each and every piece of legislation? That's what
there's nothing
it did
wrong
start with health care. Well, it started with health care because people said, the public said in election after election, in poll after poll, they didn't just oppose it, they strongly opposed it, and it got passed anyways. It got jammed down their throats. So that's what this is.
But the fact that it passed doesn't make it unconstitutional. I mean, Mary's argument, I think, while articulate, isn't you know, relevant, because of course unconstitutional laws shouldn't be passed and can't be sustained in the courts. So we don't disagree with that. What we disagree with is whether, you know, John Boehner ought to be getting some credit for somehow changing Congress's, you know, behavior by making this rule in effect.
Let's talk about
I just
another
don't
rule.
think it's very
Let's talk about another rule here on the House floor. Obviously, this big thing over whether or not they should tweet, use their BlackBerry, and all kinds of things here. There's an op-ed in the Washington Post, Ruth Marcus, who writes here that they should keep the electronics off the House floor. She says if the Senate is the world's greatest deliberative body, the House is poised to be the world's greatest tweeting one. What do we think of this? Is this a breach of decorum, or is this, hey, you know, let's get up to the 21st century and start communicating with folks who are looking for our support, our votes, and want to push through policy? Mary?
Well, call me a geezer of the 19th century, if you will. I think tweeting is for twits. And I think it's perpetual teenage angst. It's narcissistic, it's self-absorbed, no impulse is unacted on, no thought is unexpressed. I don't care, and it's the worst way to do legislation. I'm eating a bagel, I feel sad. I think it's ridiculous. Here. I don't know why they're doing it. It's faddish. It's a technology in search of a purpose. It's fine for your teenager to say, pick me up at this address or something like that, but all the angst and the narcissism of it, I loathe.
Tell me how you really feel, Mary. Hillary, do you agree? Tell me. What do you think?
Well, I think that, you know, Boehner, good for Boehner for recognizing that technology is a fact of life here. I don't think he's actually changing the rules so that people can tweet. What he's actually simply saying is, if you've got an iPad, if you've got a BlackBerry, you're allowed to use it on the floor, and a lot of people use them for things more serious and substantive than tweeting. Many people would agree with Mary.
Okay. Tweeting for twits. I don't know if I agree about that. But you guys stand by for a sec.